Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English Mastery Podcast. I'm Vey, and I am so excited to share today's episode with you. We're going to explore one of the most powerful and commonly used English idioms that you absolutely need to know.
Hey there, I'm James, and wow, Vey, you're absolutely right about today's topic. We're diving deep into the phrase, actions speak louder than words, and honestly, this is such an important concept not just for English learning, but for life in general.
Exactly, James. Now, before we jump in, let me ask our listeners something. Have you ever had someone promise you something over and over again, but they never actually follow through? Maybe they say, I'll help you study English, or I'll call you back, but then nothing happens? Well, that's exactly what today's idiom is all about.
That's such a relatable example, Vey. And you know what's interesting? This idiom exists in so many languages around the world because it represents a universal human truth. People can say beautiful words, make amazing promises, but what really matters is what they actually do. Their behavior tells the real story.
Yes, so actions speak louder than words essentially means that what someone does is much more important and meaningful than what they say. It's about looking at someone's behavior to understand their true intentions, rather than just believing their words. Let me give you a perfect example. Imagine your friend always says, I really care about the environment, but then they throw trash on the ground and never recycle. Their actions are telling a different story, aren't they?
That's such a clear example. And this happens in relationships all the time, too. Maybe someone says, I love you constantly, but they never make time for you, they don't listen when you talk, and they forget important dates. Well, their actions are speaking much louder than those three little words, right?
Absolutely. Now, let's listen to a real conversation where this idiom comes up naturally. This will help you understand how native speakers actually use this phrase in daily life. So, we have two friends discussing someone named Jake, and they're trying to figure out if his apologies are genuine or not.
Perfect setup, V. So in this conversation, one person thinks Jake might be truly sorry because he looked sad and apologized. But the other person is more skeptical because Jake has a pattern of saying sorry without changing his behavior. Let's see how they work through this situation using our target idiom.
I think Jake feels bad about what he did yesterday. He apologized to me, but honestly, I'm still not completely convinced about his sincerity.
Really? Why would you doubt him? When I saw him earlier, he genuinely looked upset and remorseful about the whole situation.
Well, here's the thing. Jake has this habit of apologizing constantly, but then his behavior never actually changes. He just repeats the same mistakes over and over again.
You know what? You make a valid point there. I've noticed that pattern too. He does tend to fall back into the same problematic behaviors pretty quickly after apologizing.
Exactly. This is why I truly believe that actions speak louder than words. If someone genuinely cares and wants to make things right, they need to demonstrate it through their behavior, not just through apologies.
So you're basically saying you want to see him actually change his behavior and make better choices rather than just hearing more empty apologies?
Precisely. If Jake really wants to show that he cares about our friendship and respects me, he needs to prove it by consistently doing the right thing moving forward.
That makes perfect sense to me. How about we give him this week to show whether he's serious about changing, and then we can evaluate based on his actual actions?
Sounds like a fair approach. If he demonstrates real change through his behavior this week, then I'll be willing to believe that his apology was genuine and heartfelt.
Great conversation example, Vey. Now let's break down some key vocabulary that appeared in that dialogue. First, we had convinced. This means to believe something is true or to trust someone. For example, I'm not convinced that he's telling the truth about being late.
Excellent! And we also used remorseful, which means feeling deep regret or sorrow about something you've done wrong. Like, she felt remorseful after accidentally breaking her sister's favorite vase. It's a more formal way to say sorry or regretful.
Right. Another important word was demonstrate. This means to show something clearly through actions or evidence. For instance, the student demonstrated his understanding of math by solving all the problems correctly. It's about proving something through what you do, not just what you say.
Perfect. Now let's talk about pronunciation, because actions speak louder than words can be a bit tricky for English learners. Let's break it down syllable by syllable. AC, speak, louder than words. Notice how we stress A, speak, loud, and words.
Great point about pronunciation, Vey. And here's something interesting: native speakers often shorten this phrase in casual conversation. Sometimes we just say, actions speak louder, and everyone understands we mean the full idiom. Or we might say, well, you know what they say, actions speak louder than words.
Yes, and you can use this idiom in so many different situations. Maybe your coworker always promises to help with projects, but never follows through. You could say, I've learned that actions speak louder than words with him. Or if a politician makes lots of promises during election season, people might say, we'll see if they keep their promises. Actions speak louder than words.
Absolutely. And it's not always negative either. You can use it positively too. Like, my grandmother never said I love you very often, but she showed it by cooking my favorite meals and always being there when I needed her. Her actions spoke louder than words. It's about recognizing when someone shows love or care through their behavior rather than just their words.
Ah, that's such a beautiful example, James. Now, let's practice some shadowing with parts of our conversation. This will help you get comfortable using this idiom naturally. I'll say a line, and then you repeat it exactly as you heard it. Ready?
Actions speak louder than words. Your turn. Repeat that phrase and try to match my intonation and rhythm. Remember, the stress falls on actions speak louder and words.
Perfect. Now try this longer sentence. If someone genuinely cares, they need to demonstrate it through their behavior. Focus on the word demonstrate it. It's demonstrate, with stress on the middle syllable.
Excellent. Here's another key phrase. I'm not completely convinced about his sincerity. Pay attention to how convinced sounds. It's convinced with the stress on the second syllable. And sincerity is sincere, is sin-tiety.
Great job, everyone! Now let's put this idiom into some practical contexts. Imagine you're at work and a colleague keeps promising to finish their part of a team project, but they keep missing deadlines. You could say to another coworker, I know Sarah keeps saying she'll get it done, but actions speak louder than words. We might need a backup plan.
Perfect workplace example. Or maybe you're talking about a friend's new romantic relationship. Your friend is worried because their partner says they love them but never makes time for dates or important events. You might say, actions speak louder than words. If they really care about you, they'll make the effort to spend quality time together.
Yes, and here's a positive example. Maybe you want to compliment someone who doesn't talk much but always helps others. You could say, John isn't very talkative, but he's always the first person to help when someone needs it. His actions speak louder than words, and that's why everyone respects him so much.
I love that example, V. It shows how this idiom can be used to praise someone's character. Now, let me share a quick cultural note. In many English-speaking cultures, people really value consistency between words and actions. We tend to respect people more when they follow through on their commitments, rather than just making impressive promises.
That's such an important cultural insight, James. And this brings up an interesting point for English learners. When you use idioms like this correctly in conversation, it shows that you understand not just the language, but also the cultural values behind it. Native speakers notice this, and it really impresses them.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up today's episode, let's review the key points. Actions speak louder than words means that what people do is more important and trustworthy than what they say. You can use it to express skepticism about someone's promises, to praise someone who shows rather than tells, or to emphasize the importance of following through on commitments.
Perfect summary. And remember, the best way to master this idiom is through practice and repetition. Try using it in your own conversations this week. Maybe write it in your vocabulary journal with your own example sentences. The more you practice, the more natural it will become.
Exactly. And here's your homework. Think of a situation in your own life where this idiom applies. Maybe someone you know who always talks big but doesn't follow through, or conversely, someone who shows their care through actions rather than words. Practice describing that situation using our target idiom.
Wonderful! Thank you so much for joining us today, everyone. If this episode helped you understand actions speak louder than words, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to English Mastery Podcast. We love creating content that helps you sound more natural and confident in English.
And don't forget to practice shadowing with this episode multiple times. Repetition is absolutely key to fluency. We'd also love to hear from you in the comments. Share a sentence using today's idiom, or tell us about a situation where actions truly did speak louder than words.
This is Vey and James from English Mastery Podcast, reminding you that learning English is all about consistent practice and patience. Your dedication to improving speaks volumes about your character. And remember, your actions in learning English definitely speak louder than just wishing you could speak better.
Keep practicing, keep growing, and we'll see you in the next episode.